Competitive play and the Magic the Gathering Judge program continues to dig itself into a bigger hole and cast a bigger shadow of doubt on it this past weekend with a controversy surrounding over $40,000 worth of first place prize winnings, a little bit of power tripping, and maybe some broken telephone, creating a overall shocking situation that I wanted to cover today, and I think has a lot of situations, or I guess things to discuss on both sides here. I don't want to just be a drama alert channel here. I think this brings to light some very important things around rulings and how we should be enforcing things, because at the end of the day, I do want to say there's a lot of, I guess, thought around the judge program being a real big in-group of cops, right? A bunch of elite individuals that control the rules, can control the narrative, and they just do whatever they want. But I personally know a lot of great judges. I've been around a lot of great judges who have made good rulings and have upheld the integrity of this game. And so I personally have a very good view of judges. But when it comes to stories like this, it's really hard to, I guess, stand up for the program, stand up for the individuals, because of these very small, just bad people in the weeds of things, right? The bad judges that are not upholding the competitive integrity of this game and creating these situations for these individuals that work so hard in this game, that play so much and do so well, and create these very kind of divisive situations. And I want to cover it just all around: the prizing, the placements, and the story itself. So strap on for a crazy ride, and leave a like on the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below about this situation with Julian Jakobovits and his DQ and potential winnings, and just what it means overall for prizing support in competitive Magic the Gathering moving forward. Julian starts off by tweeting something a bit ominous, right? Just got DQ'd from the Secret Lair Champs event after winning my match and advancing into the top 4. Owned 100% of myself and made no splits with anyone, so I really got maximum punish. Life-changing moment for me, really crushed. So there's a lot to break down here. Julian Jakobovits, relatively really strong Magic the Gathering player, I would say. From the average perspective, a lot of great Eternal Weekend kind of placements here. A very great Magic player, especially in the Eternal format. So one that has the pedigree to compete and do well in situations like this. And the Secret Lair Champs, the prizing of this is really important as well. Kind of as a first from my perspective for Magic the Gathering in general. So let's hop into the kind of situation where he further followed up, and this is kind of the tweet that blew up. All this is going to be linked down below, kind of going over what happened at Gen Con from his perspective. And that's the key thing I want to say here, is a lot of people are believing him because of his credibility, but there is that sense of, we don't have all sides, we don't have exact proof, we don't have recording of the event that happened exactly. So we are believing what Julian is saying because previously we don't have a reason to necessarily believe that he is lying. So as a big thing to say, generally speaking, I see no reason why we shouldn't believe him. There's a lot of people in the comment section down below that are coming to his aid. We see Aspiring Spike and Nikachu kind of right there immediately off the bat. So let's hop into the document itself. So a lot of people in this initially here. So I'm going to kind of zoom in here, maybe put myself at the bottom and maybe zoom in. Bring ourselves in here. So the event took place on Sunday and was made up of 32 players. Being single elimination, you need to go 5-0 in the event to earn yourself a Dark Ritual, which there are only 4 copies of in the world. Second place gets basically nothing, and that's going to be an important piece of an important piece to get kind of take advantage of later. So again, 4 copies of the singular art of Dark Ritual, and this is one of the ways to win them, which is insane, which is absolutely insane. You can only imagine the amount of money that this is going to sell for in terms of exclusivity. We already have the 1-of-1 ring being that kind of template of a card that is worth so much, selling for over $2 million to Post Malone. We've never really had exclusivity like this, and this is increasing over time with exclusive arts like this, and kind of having them be placed in a 32-player single elimination tournament. A lot of stakes in every single match. Prior to this event, many people I knew were swapping equity with one another, meaning, for example, one player would own 80% of themselves and 20% of another player in the top 32, and vice versa. I've been offered equity swaps by many players, but ultimately decided to not accept any of them because I like my odds in the field. Again, a very good player, someone who definitely knows what they're doing when it comes to these formats and plays, so their chances are actually pretty good, even if ultimately they may not have gotten there. I also thought that splitting the Dark Ritual would be a hassle if I end up taking it down. I go to the event owning 100% of myself with fire in my eyes. And so essentially it's like, if the Dark Ritual sold for $100, you know, that kind of 80-20 split would be you'd get $80, the other person would get 20 based on how you did the splits. But generally speaking, we're going to go over in a second, it's illegal in terms of the IPG rules. So I start off the event by winning my first 3 rounds. I advanced to the top 4 after I finished with the 3rd round. One of my buddies, who's not even in the event but is rooting for me, comes up to me and asks me a question about buying some of my equity. I didn't understand what he was talking about or asking or offering. This happened in passing as I was still dialed in thinking about my next match. So again, someone who's not even in the event comes up to Julian and asks him about splitting. And so he's already locked in top 4. He's got to play 2 more rounds to really win this. He's doing well. There's a judge standing nearby while the last match in the round is still going. The judge overhears the question and steps in, asking what's going on. At this point, I'm very confused about what my friend is actually asking. I explained to the judge that my friend who isn't in the event is just talking about some split, which I do not fully understand. The truth is that I'm not well versed in these types of situations at a high level of competition, and I don't know what is allowed and what isn't. The judge shrugs at me and walks away. Okay, I assume that what I told him has passed for acceptable. Again, this is a situation where this could be perceived as hearsay. We only know Julian's perspective, but again, he explained the situation, explained that he's not necessarily as versed in this. And again, this is someone who wins like relatively often, who plays this pretty well where they need to. And so again, they're used to just winning. Why would they even bother with something like a split? I think a lot of Magic players out there, even at the RCQ level, even at the Pro Tour level, do not know the competitive rules in and out. So I don't even blame Julian for this, right? That's what the judges are for. I think about the offer and decide to say no to my friend, no matter the numbers. I just want to play it all for myself, but if I could go back, I wish I could just have clarified to the judge that I had just said no. Again, this is also on the judges. This is also on the judge too. If you're going to enforce a rule, which we're going to go over in a second, it is on you to also clarify what is going on, not make assumptions because you heard a situation outside. You don't even know the full story. As I'm sitting around waiting for my final match of round 3 to conclude so that I can play the semifinals, the head judge approaches me. Oh, so now it's escalated. This was a random judge. Now the head judge approaches Julian to tell me that I'm getting a match loss in the semifinals for colluding or bribery or something of that nature. I was in such shock. I can't remember exactly the penalty that I received. So remember, this is single elimination, 5 rounds. If you get a match loss, that's it. You're out. That's a DQ. They're calling it a match loss, but that's a DQ. I appeal to the head of Pastimes Meg, but she immediately shuts me down and tells me that there is nothing I can do or say to change the situation. Hello? What does this mean? Okay, let me move my camera a little bit. She says, shuts me down, and there's nothing I can say or do to change the situation? He said no. The person that talked to him about this isn't even in the tournament itself. What is going on? This is the judging program? These are the people that uphold the rules of this game? I do find it funny that out of all the people in this event that were splitting and swapping their equity, I was one of the few that hadn't. Yet I'm the sole one who walks away from the event DQ'd for doing so. And that's completely fair too, because there's definitely people doing it, because we're going to talk about why. The pricing and the worth of that dark ritual is so key. Life-changing amount of money. The amount of people splitting in this event was numerous, and he was the one being DQ'd and put away for this. I do not fully understand the rules and presumably said wrong things to the judge. The final price of the dark ritual sold on site. They are right there. They won and they sold it. Not Julian, but someone else won and sold it. $48,000. $48,000. That is a life-changing amount of money. I prepared for this tournament for months, flew to India in hopes of having to be able to chance to play it in the finals. At the end, I was not allowed to play it, even though I had said no. If Julian lost, that is something different. If you went to round 5 and lost that, that's something different. He got DQ'd and lost the opportunity without a fair say, being told that there's nothing he can say or do with situations outside of his control. Someone was able to come in outside, forget that this was his friend, someone is able to come outside from the tournament, say something and ruin someone's chances at $48,000, and the judge was able to uphold that with no evidence whatsoever. Broken telephone. This is an example of clear broken. If we're assuming Julian is correct here, this is clearly broken telephone, and they were able to ruin someone's chance at $48,000. Life-changing amount of money off of a whim. absolutely insane. How do you defend the judging program after something like this? Again, as someone who has said, beginning of this video, I know plenty of great judges. I've had great experience with judges. I have personally, in the few events that I've been with, not have had any judge calls that I felt like were completely out of line. Right? They were pretty fair to me. I've had great experiences myself. This is insane. This is the type of thing that makes it so people don't want to play events like this. Because why was he the only one to get DQ'd? Or why was he one of the few? Maybe other people may have gotten DQ'd, but he was just the quietest about it. Someone outside of the damn tournament came and asked him about the split, and that ruined his chance for it. Let's hop into everything here. So Julian Jakobovits, again, on MTGO, 2022 Eternal Weekend champion in Vintage, 2023 Eternal Weekend Legacy champion, third place on Mock Season 1 2023. Again, someone who has the pedigree of highly competitive play, knows Magic in and out, playing these Eternal formats, really invested in the game as a player, as a Vintage player, as a Legacy player, someone who does really well in this tournament, has that pedigree. Disqualified by someone else coming in and asking for a split, and him saying no, but maybe just because he didn't get a chance to clarify that, and the judge is just power tripping at this point. Connor McKenzie here, kind of a tweet after the fact. Wizards of the Coast making a tournament series where first place gets $50,000+ and second place gets nothing, then cracking down hard on people doing splits is so effed. This is life-changing money. Expecting people to do nothing and put it all on one match is insane. Now, I'm going to go over this in a second. In terms of pricing sport, I'm going to go over this in a second. But I think there's like a lot of like bad faith arguments here that like against this. It's like absolutely wild that, like, first of all, this is the pricing, right? Because this is a new level of pricing. I don't think Wizards is used to something like this. Pricing support, generally speaking, has been very low for a lot of Magic tournaments out there. And let alone the collateral damage that has occurred to someone not even doing a split. Again, referring to Julian. There's a lot, and first of all, this is an argument against splits. Splits, it seems like generally speaking, based on the IPG rules, there isn't a specific ruling around this situation, but it can be seen as maybe wagering. Definitely something that can be ruled, I think, as many people agree, as not legal. This is something that is worth a DQ. If this actually happened, someone did want to split, someone was caught for it, should be DQ'd for it, right? That generally makes sense, right? So Kevin here, real sports don't allow splits. Imagine Olympic finals where the athletes instead agree to split the money and didn't play. We're gambling. This isn't the Olympics. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast has gone so far for so long to essentially separate Magic the Gathering from gambling. Magic the Gathering is not a real sport. It's not a real esport. It barely is. It barely is a real esport. I should caveat that. It's not I don't know what kind of argument this is. First of all, we don't allow splits. We get that. No one's arguing against that. No one's arguing that splits aren't allowed, okay? Or are allowed. Just what does this even mean, right? Like, and further, what do they do to crack down? I mean, that's a further issue there. Apparently, they did allow top two to split. I don't know. What is this? Who said this? The top two was not allowed to split. Who said this? Maybe they split after the fact, but they were not allowed to split as per the rules of the game. Like, there's a lot of like really dumb arguments here. Like, I don't know. Like, second place, I should clarify, I believe got a Murktide art, or I believe they got an artwork of a card that was generally worth like about 2K. Now, that isn't nothing, right? Now, I will say from, I'm not going to be out here in privilege and say $2,000 is not life-changing, right? But I will argue that if you're making the time to travel to Indianapolis, hotels, buy a Magic deck, play in this tournament, prepare for it, $2,000 should not be a lot of money, because if you are financially responsible, you should already have covered those costs of traveling, testing, buying your deck, and spending the time to play this. If you are not doing that, you are financially irresponsible. Straight up, you're financially irresponsible. The $50,000 is something different, but $2,000 is a great amount of money. It's great for the second place and whatever so on players. Generally, second place is like, in terms of in comparison to $50,000, second place gets nothing. It's really a stark difference. It's very much like, the last place. It's very much almost nothing. These are kind of just costs that you can't really think about. $50,000 is such a big amount of money compared to what people get at second, third, fourth, whatever place. So that is what I will argue here. Okay. Now, Fire Shoes here, Robert I'm going to link this tweet down. I'm not going to read through this, but I'm purposely showing this to link the tweet down below, but kind of retweeting something as a response. Any judge has got any idea on this? Robert Taylor talking about, this is what the IPG and MTR say. And so I'm going to link this down below. Generally speaking, it seems like the consensus is that this could be seen as wagering or gambling on prizes. And so this is why it's illegal. So that's fine. I'm not arguing that. Splitting, if Julian actually wanted to split, it's not legal. But he didn't. According to his story, he said no, and a judge with minimal information, broken telephone, completely ruined his chances of doing any of that. That's what's insane. So, and he kind of acknowledges this here. So post deleted by the author. Wow. Okay, so I saved this tweet. So it looks like Julian didn't delete this. I saved this here. I feel like the judges played phone tag and the story got mixed up. No idea. I feel like a kid who the judges made an example out of really had no moves, just wanted to play Magic. Right? There's no alternative motive, right? Like Julian wasn't trying to pull a fast one here. It seems like, again, I was mentioning broken telephone, phone tag, got a little mixed up here. Not all the details were made, and a really harsh decision was made. And I feel like with the pricing support of something like a tournament like this, I think it was very clear to the judging staff, in fairness to them, that there probably were a lot of splitting. There probably was a lot of splitting happening. There probably were a lot of situations maybe related to this, or conversations happening in and around talking about splitting. So they were probably already hyper aware, quick to jump, and kind of ready to stop a situation like this. But that also means that the kind of ruling happened out of the whim. This was not a good judgment call. If this is actually the situation, that judge made an incorrect decision. You did not know the full story. You did not know the full story, nor did, based on Julian's story, make the attempt to know the full story. You made an incorrect call. This is a bad look on the judging community, which largely so isn't even really handled by Wizards of the Coast at this point. The Judge Academy was dropped. There isn't a clear line to become a Magic judge at this point, and Wizards of the Coast has not provided an update on how they want to manage judges at this point. So that's a big kind of downside to something like that. And now Daniel, a fellow Toronto resident here, kind of tweeted out, I have two things to say. If you're going to have a tournament where first place is $45K and second place is the same as 64th. So again, highlighting the fact that $2,000 or whatever that's kind of second place prizing card sold for isn't a non-zero amount of money, but it really is almost nothing compared to 45. I don't want to sound elitist here, but again, if $2,000 would have made or break, was kind of make or break for you, if it wasn't just extra amount of money, if you were trying to win that $2,000 to pay for your trip to Indianapolis, pay for your time to be there purposefully, like it would have been a great bonus. It would have been a great bonus to just be able to sell that card, make up for the cost there. But if that was something you were playing for, that's financially irresponsible. Let's just get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. That should not, you should be making better decisions here. This should be an extra tournament that you have the financial capability to do so, where the 45K is a life-changing amount of money. People are going to split, and just taking them out back to the firing squad at random is obviously bad practice. Also, splitting is for cowards. Roll dice for hunt. Hundreds gang. Yeah. Roll dice. Well, for all intents and purposes, this is a joke. Obviously, Daniel is joking here with that last little bit. But yes, doing so randomly is a bit of a joke. But what I will say, as someone who makes content on the One Piece TCG on the second channel, one thing I do want to post from this piece from the One Piece TCG 6 months ago. This was recent. This was just like a meta and a half ago, actually. The pricing for the last national event has been going off the charts on the market. From the latest Facebook groups and Twitter threads, it seems like the finalist event and the finals championship packs awarded for the top 32 have been selling for around 2.5 to 3K. That means top 32 were getting packs that were worth over 2K. The uncut sheets are around $25,000, and the winner Kaido, so the winner card that you get for first place, north of $100,000. The European winner reportedly sold his first place Kaido, first place card, for over 200K to a big TCG shop in the UK, though can't seem to find any way to confirm that. So again, unconfirmed on the 200K, but it seems like the Kaidos were selling at least for over 100. Julian say makes you wonder what the pricing for Worlds is going to be. So again, the One Piece TCG, they don't necessarily provide physical money support. What they do is they print lottery tickets. They will give you cards that have exclusive arts, exclusive printings that has like exclusive chance for stamps for winners and everything. What they do is they give you these cards. They just print lottery tickets. It doesn't matter how much they're worth. They will just give you these. However much they're worth, they go up and down. It doesn't matter. They will not give you necessarily cash pricing support. There may be some, but generally printing, they're giving you these cards. And it's kind of what's going on with the Secret Lair model here. And it's kind of what I want to say is other TCGs are already doing something similar. The difference is that Magic the Gathering is not used to doing something like this. They're usually, it's kind of cash price support. Maybe if a big store is holding it, it could be store price support, like store credit or something like that. Maybe it's like a big cutout card. Maybe it's something like a GP. It's like GP points like you could then use to go to the prize wall and then buy like big packs or big booster boxes. Again, oversized cards, like big trophies like that. It's not necessarily exclusive cards like this. And that's kind of what's going on with this Dark Ritual. With the Dark Ritual, there's only 4 of this exclusive art in the world, and you're kind of playing for something like this, selling for over $50,000. That is life-changing amount of money. One Piece TCG is doing something like this, so it's not like it's unprecedented from other TCGs. Again, the One Piece TCG, definitely a top 5 TCG right now. Someone who's playing it right now, a lot of eyes on it right now, a lot of big name players, and heck, even I would say internet gaming celebrities shifting their eyes onto it, opening packs of it, doing pack openings, and definitely a top 5 TCG right now. So this is a model that could be very much in the near future for Magic the Gathering, but not unprecedented, just not something that Magic is doing right now. But again, this is a meme just kind of highlighting that situation where, hey, do you want to sell some equity? Yes. Okay, you get disqualified. No, you get disqualified. What's the decision here? Someone outside of the game was able to come in and drop Julian's chances of winning that tournament, and a judge was able to use broken telephone information and power trip a little and just, again, as Daniel mentioned previously in that tweet, take him out to the firing squad and DQ him. Absolutely insane that a situation like this happened. And it just really... just kind of ending this off on a meme here. Everyone selling these Dark Rituals are suckers. The real money is when you buy them all for roughly 200K. So buying all 4 Dark Rituals and then sell the whole thing to Post Malone for $1 million. Can you imagine one person acquiring all these Dark Ritual arts and just kind of like a Thanos assembling the stones type of meme, just a gauntlet of like the Dark Ritual? A great meme. If someone can actually manage to get all 4 copies of this Dark Ritual, absolutely insane. But again, just highlighting the fact that this situation is insane. I really hope that this doesn't kind of shed a bad light on the judging program. It really kind of just shows, however, that a few bad eggs could really make a large impact. And when you make a large impact on like maybe the wrong people, like this could have happened to the average person and they never would have gotten their voices heard. But this now happened to someone that's very well known in the Magic community, that is a very good player, has placed really well, and now is going to hopefully shed a light on what's going on. I don't think anything's really going to happen. I don't know if these judges are going to be reprimanded. There really is no way to stop them. And unfortunately, these bad people have made a terrible decision where, you know what, at the end of the day, Julian maybe could have lost in that 4th round, maybe could have lost in that 5th round, but just him having the chance to do so is so much more valuable than, kind of DQing here. He could have because then he could have felt like he could have made different decisions, played a little bit better, or just had that situation under his control, and now that was taken away from him, which I think it just really sets a bad precedence. This is kind of just one of those situations for the average player where they feel like they don't want to play events like this. They feel like they trained so long, they worked so hard, as Julian mentioned, bought the flights out and put so much effort in, ultimately to just have something out of your control completely taken away from you, which is absolutely unfortunate. And the situation around this isn't that great. I think prizing support like this is a great positive, I will say. I think having situations like this where you don't necessarily need to have cash prizes for a lot of people and have that support from the TO, but instead maybe get these like lottery tickets from Wizards of the Coast that could be that prize support that could be worth a lot of money. I think that's a great decision because we see that succeeding in the One Piece TCG. But again, kind of feeding the whales isn't just going to be the backbone of competitive events. It's also going to be the competitive integrity and how folks are upholding the rules, and the judging program making sure that they're being fair and that they have all the information they need before handing out rulings like this. It's really unfortunate that a DQ for Julian is ultimately where this landed, and I don't know if this is going to make any changes. I think I just wanted to highlight this because it's a very important situation around a very unclear program of judges, and how many of them I think have good intentions. Many of them, in my experience, have been great, but a couple, as I mentioned, of bad eggs really leads to a terrible situation for a few who, again, are competing for life-changing money, are competing for life-changing situations. And I think this is going to happen more and more with the kind of universes beyond and Fortnitification of the game, with exclusive arts feeding to whales and everything. We're going to see more and more one rings and more situations where people are going to be cheating. Like, what are the rules going to be around upholding competitive integrity outside of the judging program? How is this going to be enforced? And for people like Julian to actually have the opportunity to succeed, good actors, again, based on the information that Julian is providing, hoping from his perspective, if we want to believe him, for good players like him to be able to compete and have those system work for them and give them the opportunity to win situations like this, because that's all we want at the end of the day. We want these high highs. We want these great stories. We don't want negative situations like this attached to Magic the Gathering and to kind of sully the good name of the game that we love to play. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think this is a situation of the judges power tripping? Do you think this is a situation of, just broken telephone, or do you think the ruling was fair? Like do you think Julian's lying? Like, what? I want to hear your thoughts down below. I think this is a pretty crazy situation and not a great look for the judging program in Magic the Gathering.